Hey guys, this is your friend Daniel Kwame Pobi, JMT certified speaker, trainer, and coach. And I welcome you to this episode of HiCAD's Leadership 360. This is the platform that we discuss HiCAD's leadership content. We are live on Facebook and we are also live on YouTube. You can connect with us also on our website, and it's a joy for me to welcome you. It's an honor to have you join us for this episode. We are looking at the topic, the hidden leader in you, the hidden leader in you, and we are going to be discussing why people don't develop as leaders. Why is it that people don't develop as leaders? What is leadership is also the second issue. We will look at the history of leadership, and then we will give ourselves a call to action where we begin to take action and begin to transform our own leadership journey and begin to pursue what it is that we want to pursue in our lives. So for close to 10 years, I have had the privilege of speaking to several thousands of people in our virtual programs and the seminars and conferences that we have been part of, and I've had the honor of speaking to a lot of people. And as I move around and engage and experience people and hear people share, for me it's just been awesome. It's been a real privilege, and my focus has been on coaching business executives and helping them, assisting them identify their sense of purpose, and also to identify the leadership ability that is inside of them. And as I go through these things and we go through these seminars and conferences, and the testimonies that I have received, or HiCAD that we have received based on the impact that the leadership materials and the seminars and workshops are giving to people, helping them find their visions and renew their own focus and produce a better life for them. I'm just humbled and honored by that privilege of helping others, achieve their personal and corporate goals in their own life. And one challenge that I find that is this, that increasingly leadership has become a role that one plays, and people see that they are just acting. So at one point in time, they find themselves in one role, and then when they move out of whatever role that they see themselves playing, they think that then they have finished. So majority of people do not see this as a calling. People don't see leadership as a calling, and it's a challenge that we see around too many people. We don't realize that leadership is a calling. Therefore, when we have left the office and when we are in the office, we act in a certain way. When we have left the office, we begin to change the way that we act. But see, this is a contradiction. There's a contradiction so far as true leadership is concerned. And why is it that people don't, develop themselves as leaders? We want to look at this. Why is it that people don't develop? Number one is the fact that for many people, they think that, I'm not born a leader. And because I'm not born a leader, I do not qualify to lead. It's based on the assumption that some people are born, and when they are born with traits, they are born with leadership qualities, and so those ones are the ones who will show up when there is need for leadership. But as John C. Maxwell will say, I have not met any leader that wasn't born. All of us were born, but the fact that people may have a certain leaning or a certain trait, natural abilities that puts them in a position to lead, does not disqualify those who come without those traits and those qualities. And unfortunately, that is one key reason that people do not develop themselves as leaders. They think that I am not born a leader. Some people also think that, I need a title. I need some security. I need to have something that secures me and says that, yes, now I will lead because I have a title. And I've heard people, funny enough, they say that you wait when they vote for me. You wait when I'm elected. You wait when I'm put in that position, then you see leadership. The moment you talk like that, you are just accusing yourself. If you excuse yourself, you accuse yourself. The third reason why some people do not develop themselves as leaders is the fact that they don't have work experience. People think that when I have work experience, then it will automatically put me in a position to lead. Some people also think that, well, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for that position so that I will start developing myself as a leader. And I want to ask you, so far as your experience is concerned, what is the excuse for you? Or what was the excuse for you? And in the context where you are, in the environment where you are, what is the prevalent excuse that people give to themselves for not rising up to leadership? Is it that they are saying, I'm not born a leader? Or they are saying that, well, I don't have the title or security to lead? Or they are saying, I don't have the work experience, so I can't lead? Or someone is saying, I don't have the position, and so I cannot lead. What is the excuse that you find that people normally give in the environment, at your workplace, in the community where you are? What is the common excuse that people give? And these are the things that we are looking into. But what is really leadership? What is leadership? John C. Maxwell says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Leadership is influence. And for us at HighCard, we see that, look, if you need to influence, then you need to be intentional about it. You need to be intentional about your leading, and you need to focus and say that this is what I want to achieve. There has been a lot of definitions and people, but we want to summarize it. At HighCard, we want to say intentional leadership, intentional influence, intentional influence. That is our operational definition for leadership. And as we go into it, I want to talk about 5 points that really leadership is. 5 key points. The first one is the fact that leadership is a verb. Leadership is a verb. They taught us that a verb is a doing word, is an action word. So leadership is something that you do, something that you do. Somebody demonstrates a certain trait, a certain behavior, and we say that the person is showing leadership. So the first point I want you to note in terms of what is leadership is the fact that leadership is a verb, something that you do. Number 2 is the fact that leadership is situational. The context within which you exercise leadership changes as you move. And so once it is situational, then the situation will determine the kind of leadership and the kind of skill that will be required for you to exercise true leadership and authentic leadership. And we realize that, see, when you look at situation also means that individuals change. And as individuals change, the people that you encounter in your life, the people that you encounter on the job and at the workplace, the moment they change, then your leadership should also change. For instance, if you are working with someone that is the first year in the organization, the kind of leadership that you offer someone like that is different when someone has stayed with you in the organization for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years. And that situation warrants that you change your leadership style because the situation has changed. And we are looking at what is leadership. So I've talked about the fact that leadership is a verb. It's something that you do. And number 2, I'm saying leadership is situational. The context changes. Number 3, I want us to consider that leadership is different from management. Leadership is different from management. The technical definition of management will let you know that it involves a lot with all the staffing issues and all the material issues and all the resource issues that you need to direct, you need to control, you need to, all those things, you know. But when it comes to leadership, we are looking at the individuals, human beings. The influence is on human beings, it's not on computers. It is not on vehicles, okay? It is not on the stock that you have in the store or the raw materials that you have. Your leadership influence is on people. Leadership is different from management, and you want to take note of that. Number 4, we are saying that leadership is shared and distributional. Leadership is shared and distributional. So, the authority that is in leadership, the power that is in leadership is supposed to be shared by the people who are in the team, you know. So it's supposed to be like a ship. People ought to be prepared to take the helm every time. And so it shouldn't be the same person all the time. Leadership is shared, distributional. You distribute the authority and the power so that people feel they are part of it. We are saying, number 1, leadership is a verb. Number 2, leadership is situational. And number 3, leadership is different from management. Number 4, leadership is shared and distributional. Last but not the least, number 5, leadership is a capacity that can be learned. It's a capacity that can be learned. So all of us can learn leadership. It is a skill. It is like someone learning how to ride a bike or a bicycle. You take your time, you fall, you injure yourself, you learn and you make mistakes, but it is a skill that you are learning. If you want to learn how to sew, it is a skill. You learn it and you are able to pick up the skill. You are able to polish it. You are able to get it at the level that you want to see happen in your life. And you want to understand that, see, leadership is a skill that can be learned. Friends, we are looking at the topic for this episode, the hidden leader in you. And we are establishing the fact that people do not develop themselves as leaders because of some reasons. And we've mentioned some of them: not born and not having the position, not having the title, not having the security, and not having the experience. These are excuses. And we have talked about leadership, and we are saying that leadership is intentional influence. Leadership is intentional influence. John Maxwell says it is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And we have established that leadership is a verb. Leadership is a verb. It's something that you do. Leadership is also situational. And we have said that leadership is also different from management. Leadership is shared and distributional. And we've also established the point that leadership is a skill that can be learned. Now, we know the history of leadership. And if we want to look at Indian chiefs or African kings and Egyptian rulers or the Greek heroes and all the mythology that we read about these Greeks and all that, you get to realize that leadership has evolved over the ages. In the 1900s, we had 1911 thereabout when Taylor came out with the scientific management. And Maslow in 1959 also came out with what he called the hierarchy of needs. The fact that people have needs. Taylor's was that there should be some systematic processes of achieving the results that we want to achieve. And Maslow says there are some needs that individuals have, and so leaders are supposed to meet that. And Herzberg in 1966 said there is a dual factor. There is the X factor and then there is a Y factor. And so you have the X and then the Y, you know. So there is motivation here and there, and then there is also punishment there. There is a dual factor. If you want the results, then you make sure you provide the motivation. And if people are not producing the results that you want, then you give them the punishment. It's a carrot and stick. But we put all these together and we call them transactional leadership. Transactional leadership. When leadership moved from transactional leadership, we went into what we call transformational leadership. transformational leadership, where now we saw that people are different, so it's not everyone that can be motivated. Some people are not motivated by results or rewards that are given to them and bonuses and those kinds of things. Some people are intrinsically motivated themselves to achieve. And so there is this theory Y and theory X that McGregor came out with in 1960. That is part of what we call transformational leadership. And then Hesse and Blanchard also came out in 1996. They came out with situational leadership. I have talked about situational leadership earlier, but those two and that concept, the thinking around the 1960s and moving into 1990s was around transformational leadership. And then this concept that was propounded by Greenleaf in 1969 gained momentum, and that is on servant leadership. So we have journeyed from transactional leadership to transformational leadership, and this is the time when we are in the era of servant leadership. Let me share with you a story, and this is a story that was captured in a book, The Spirit of Leadership, that Dr. Myles Munroe wrote. And I want to share this story and then we pick some lessons out of it. Now, Dr. Myles Munroe says that he traveled to Africa, and then after training and seminars in the evening, they went to dinner, and he was invited by the chief of the place, and then the chief told him this story. This is the story. He says that there was a farmer. Now, this farmer was also a shepherd or a herder of sheep, taking care of sheep. So he would take the sheep to go and pasture and go and graze. And then one day, to his surprise, he found a certain calf, a certain calf that was just obviously lone, and it's obvious that the family had left him behind some way, somehow. And when he found it, he was surprised and was wondering why this calf should be doing at this point without the family that is supposed to. But he picked it. He picked the lion calf and brought it home. That baby lion brought it home and then began to feed it, to nurture it, to also give it fresh milk that like he was giving to the sheep that he had, kept it safe, kept it warm, secure, gave it protective confines and all that. Now, after 15 months had passed, the story says that this little calf began to grow into an adolescent lion. But he acted and sounded and behaved just like the sheep, So he had grown into a sheep by virtue of association. And the chief told the story that in essence, this lion had lost himself and had become one of the sheep, one of them, because of the association that he had had. Now, 4 years later, the lion who thought he was a sheep followed the other sheep to the place to go and graze and to find pasture, and then they were drinking water. Suddenly, just across the river, there appeared out of the thick jungle bush a large beast that this young lion cat had never seen in his life. Just a beast appeared. And when the beast appeared, it's like some panic button had been pressed. All of a sudden, every sheep began to run helter-skelter, finding themselves some safety. And they ran toward the farmhouse until they found themselves in safety. Of course, the lion caught one of them. But strangely enough, this lion cat, also leaped out of the water and just ran together with the other sheep to find safety for themselves, stricken with fear, and just found. Now, this thing happened, and the farmer noticed that after this, there was no commotion around the place. But after a week, they went to the same place to graze and to find pasture. And the same water body just went there to drink water. And as they were drinking, what happened is that this adolescent lion saw the beast again and ran away. Saw the beast and ran away. Now, the funny thing is that as the adolescent lion was running away, the other sheep were wondering why it is running away. And the young lion was also wondering why the other sheep were not following. So it went up to a point and stopped. And then because no one was following, then this young lion came back to join the rest of the sheep. Now, when it came back, it saw again drinking from the river, it saw again the beast staring at it. Funny thing is this, that the beast that this young lion was seeing was himself. He was just seeing his own reflection and in that water that he was looking at. And that is what scared him. So he kind of saw himself, and that was also the same image of the beast that had appeared at first. Now, the sheep did not run. So coincidentally, just around that same time, the real beast appeared. The real beast appeared. This time around, the other sheep took off immediately. But funny, this lion, the young lion, because of the other experience that he had, he was a bit slow this time around. And so he was the only one. Before he could move, here was the beast walking towards him. The beast stepped forward and came to about 10 meters or so away. And this young lion thought that today, this is the end of my life. Like, this is the end of his life. He just thought that this is the end. This is the day when it all ends for him. Now, the beast came about 10 feet and growled at this young lion. Just made that frightening, powerful sound that lions always make. It's like, as the beast made that sound, it was like saying, try this and see. Come and follow me. The sound was so powerful. The beast just made that frightening sound. Fear gripped the young lion, and it was wondering what to do. But just so to appease the beast, this young lion also tried to make that frightening sound. As it opened its jaws, unfortunately, the only sound that could come out of its jaw was the sound of sheep. That was the only sound that could come out of its jaw. So this beast made that frightening sound again, louder this time around. And as it made that sound again, the young lion tried it. About 7 or 8 attempts, now it began to make that same sound. You should come and see the spectacle. Here were 2 of them standing in the water and growling at each other, making that frightening sound. This one will make it, this one will make it, and they were just making it toward themselves. As they were engaging in that, the beast, the adult beast that had appeared moved away. It just turned its back on the young lion and moved towards the forest. As it was moving towards the forest, it just turned again and looked at the young lion as if to ask, are you not coming? And some way, somehow, the young lion caught the message that was being passed on to him. Hesitated a bit, looked back toward the farmhouse, looked to this side, looked to that side, turned around a bit, and decided to follow the beast. He decided to follow the beast. So here was this young lion, and this was that decision-making point. He realized that now is the point where I make that decision. That day has arrived where I make that decision. The day has come for me to choose whether I will continue to live life as a sheep or I will move and get to the place where I have just discovered of myself. But this young lion eventually decided, I will move. I will take that step. And then it followed the beast into the forest. Before I go into the lesson that we can pick from this, when I read this story, I remembered the Invictus movie that was done. You know, if you've seen that movie that starred Matt Damon and Morgan Freeman, it's a story, it's a drama. But it's biographical, okay? So it's about Nelson Mandela and the role that he played so far as the nation of South Africa is concerned. How he used that game to build a nation. This movie was somewhere in 2009, and it's based on a book that was written by John Carlin. And the title of the book is Playing the Enemy, Nelson Mandela and the Game That Made a Nation. And they transformed that into a movie. And to summarize it, here was Mandela as president, and he thought that they could make capital out of this game because South Africa was winning. The South Africa didn't have a strong team, but because they were hosting the tournament, they gained automatic entry. Now Mandela as president felt that they could take advantage and make some move for their Springbok team, their rugby team. So this tournament, as it was going on, the President Mandela invited the captain of the Springboks, who was Francois Pienaar. He invited him for tea. And as they talked and Pienaar was having his tea, Nelson Mandela, the president, shared with Pienaar the poem that had helped him when he was in prison. And the title of that poem is Invictus. Invictus. And as he shared the poem, he took it home and then began to read it. At a point, even his teammates said that this guy was beginning to sound now like Nelson Mandela. Let me share with you the end of that poem. At the end, the poem says that it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I'm the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. This is the point where we get to for you to make that decision affecting your future. Friend, if you are listening to me, just as the young lion, that genuine growl revealed to it its inherent strength, you can also release inherent leadership strength that is inside you. The hidden leader that is inside you. You can also release that inherent leadership, that strength that is within you, that you have come to understand your true self. You can also release it. When you come to that understanding, you can release it. And just like that young lion watched the beast walk away and knew that this is the decision point, you too can get to that point where you say, this is the point of departure, where you look at your future that is ahead, and you make that choice and that decision concerning your future. And it's about the fact that, look, you have a choice. You have a choice to make about your own future, just like that young lion. Just like that young lion also looked back and just looked at the farmhouse and looked at the other sheep and also looked towards the forest that was so intimidating and not familiar territory for it. You also can evaluate your past and then your future, your potential, and decide which one you will choose. You will step forward to one or the other, either your past or to your potential. You can choose. And just like that young lion crossed the river and walked into that forest, leaving behind his old life as a sheep and embarking on that new life, which he was born to live, so this platform, this leadership 360 platform that the Hiker team has put together is designed to challenge you to cross your own river of intimidation, your own river of fear, and enter the forest of leadership where you were created to manifest. This is how and why this platform, Leadership 360, this is why it is designed. So, as one who has had to cross my own river, my own life, and my desire is that, look, let me also use that catalyst. Let me be the catalyst for you. Let me be the catalyst for you. Roaring an invitation into your life and heart, and hopefully helping you to enter that adventure of who it is that you were created to be, that you can identify and discover and release that leadership spirit that is within you. Thank you very much for joining us for this episode. This is where we bring it to an end. We have looked at the fact that leadership is hidden inside you, the hidden leader in you. And we have talked about why people don't take leadership and why they don't develop. We talked about what leadership is, intentional influence. We have looked at the fact that leadership has journeyed, the history of leadership, and we have picked this story told by Myles Munroe to pick the lesson that I also have a choice, you also have a choice, and you've got to make that choice. We'll meet you again next week, same time, 8 p.m. Let's catch up and let's build our leadership. Bye-bye.